Les says right on time.
Mm.
Les says right on time.
Okay, recorder's going.
Ready?
Ready.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. We want to welcome everybody to our Hyde Park City Council meeting for January 14th. We appreciate all the attendance and we look forward to having some good discussions tonight. We're going to have the opening ceremony, which is a prayer and pledge, will be led by Councilman Brower. And then I will turn it over to Danya to swear us in to the oath of office. So go ahead.
Our Father in heaven, we're thankful that we could live in this great land. We're grateful for all that we have and all we've been blessed with, and especially to be able to live here in Hyde Park. We're thankful for all that we've been given and blessed with. We're thankful for the opportunities we have of being able to live here and for the opportunities we have to help our neighbor. We're grateful as councilmen to be able to help and in a small way of being able to help this city move forward. We're thankful for all of the blessings that we have in life. We pray that that will bless our nation, bless all those that lead us and guide us, that they may be blessed and guided too. We're thankful for all of these things. We pray for insights and help in all that we do in our lives, that we may be a guiding light to others around us, and that we can be here to help and support those that we need to. We pray for all of these blessings now and ask thee for thy care and keeping, and do it in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Would you all stand with me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Yeah, Marcus, could you take pictures for her and,
I'll do.
oh, Tiffany, oh, yeah,
I'm happy.
much better choice.
Tell me. Where are they gonna start?
Yeah.
Right here.
Yes, we go down top of this. You do you first and then we'll go down.
One
To start with.
Okay. I, Brian Carlos,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
as mayor,
as mayor,
to which I have been elected
to which I've been elected
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
I
I, David Pals,
so
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
of my office as city council,
of my office as city council,
to which I have been elected
to which I have been elected
with fidelity.
with fidelity. Actually,
I
I, Harold Osborne,
solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties
and I will discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
as City Council,
as City Council,
to which I have been elected
which I've been elected
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Thank you. Thank you, Donnie.
It's, here's one more.
Oh, yeah.
Hey. I
Melissa Jacobson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will just discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
as City Treasurer,
as City Treasurer,
to which I have been appointed
to which I have been appointed
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Yay.
Yay. Thank you.
I'll tell you, we usually don't clap, but I applaud all of them for stepping up and doing this. And those that ran for office but wasn't elected, I applaud them. And she, although she wasn't elected to city council, she wanted to serve, so she's on our planning commission. So that's a good thing. But thank you, Gerald. Thank you, Dave, for stepping forward and being willing to take care of the business of the city. This is the only time you get sworn in for office. The rest of them is typically sworn at because of your office. So it's because of what you did today. But no, I've served with all of these people for some time, and I do appreciate all of them. And Melissa, although she not city council, Susan Balls is retiring, who's kind of our institutional knowledge of the city. And we went through quite a process, and Melissa was selected for that. And the job is an appointed position. And we expect her to be exactly as good, as good as Susan. Oh, yeah. But it's big shoes to fill for Susan. Pardon?
Give her at least a couple of weeks,
Oh, yeah, well, yeah,
you know.
by the end of the month, but by the end of 28 years like Susan, yeah, you just don't teach that kind of institutional knowledge. So we appreciate you coming forward and serving at the city. The next item on the agenda is to accept the meeting minutes from December 10. Dave, do you have any comments?
I don't, I'm good with them.
I have a comment if I could turn our attention to line 238. It was concerning giving planning commission chair our advice and consent. And I'm willing to let Mike Moses
Oh.
have my consent as long as he doesn't wander us through the wilderness for 40 years.
That was to be on the planning commission.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's line 238 on you. Michael Moses.
Let my people go. All right. Tiffany, anything?
For me.
Carol, you got it?
I wasn't here and I
Oh.
apologize.
So that's all right. With that, I look for a motion to accept the agenda as amended with the grammatical correction. Or not the amendment, but accept the agenda as written with the amendment.
I'll move to accept the minutes from our previous meeting with that amendment change.
Got a motion from Dave. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A second from Gerald. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with nay? Motion carried 5-0. The next item is to approve the agenda for which we have tonight. Council, if you look in box, you'll see the regular agenda that you normally see, but you will also see an agenda that I uploaded. And that one is tying everything that we're doing to specific goals in our general plan so that we know what we're doing is tied back to a general plan. And if we're doing something that doesn't tie to the general plan outside of administrative, why are we doing it? What, there may be a very good reason, but it's something I think we need to be thinking because we never know how good we are unless we monitor and measure ourselves. And how do we know that? So, but I'm going to be running from the one that Danya had. I uploaded the other. So I have no other changes to the agenda that Danya uploaded, which everybody was able to get in the back.
I'll make a motion that we accept the agenda.
Got a motion from Stephanie to accept the agenda as written.
I'll second it.
A second from Tiffany. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with nay? Motion carried 5-0. And as thrilling as this is for the grandkids, you don't have to stay, but there will be a test.
Joke.
The next item on the agenda is to receive citizen input, questions or comments specifically for the mayor and city council. Should be limited to 3 minutes. We may not be able to answer it this time because we may not have the information. So we've asked you, if it's not currently on the agenda, we ask you to come forward at this time. You look like you were getting ready. No, okay. Having no comment, we'll close the resident input portion. The next item is for council business for mayor's staff. So I will say, I think I've done this most of the time on my portion is for us as council and mayor, the expectations for us is to come and be ready. My goal is that we have hour meetings, hour and a half. Outside of that is an exception, not the rule. And we come ready to discuss the items that we have so that we can be aware and we've done our research. And I know Marcus, Mikhail, Danya, myself, were open all week long to discuss any of these items. So please utilize those tools at your disposal. The other thing that I have is I've spoken to Mike Moses, Mike Mose, and Melinda. And Melinda's willing to chair our planning commission. And I think that is good to be able to get more experience in running the planning commission to increase that depth of knowledge. When we lost a few people, quick turnover, we really struggled with having that depth of knowledge. And I know Melinda is very experienced in this. So this, I would look for approve and consent for Melinda to chair the planning commission.
Yep.
All right, I've got approve and consent 5-0. The other item, I spoke with Gerald about this, and again, trying to share some of the love around. I've asked Tiffany if she would serve as mayor pro tem, and maybe we wouldn't. I don't know, maybe we won't do it for 4 years like Gerald was stuck at doing it. But again, to get more experience, don't necessarily have this one. I don't believe I have to have a proven consent, but I would look to the council to support Tiffany when she's here and doing things if I happen to be gone. And thank you, Tiffany.
Do it.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Okay.
No, you're awesome. I think really appreciate you doing that. We're going to go into item 8,
Mayor.
Consider resolution 2026-02, a resolution amending the utility building practices and water shut-off policies.
The chief was going to give a little report.
Oh,
but-
man, I forgot everybody
but it-
else.
but it's okay.
That's me being self-centered. But Marcus, do you have anything for staff?
I set aside a lot of time, well, hopefully not too much time. I had it separated out as an agenda item at the end to go over my general plan report that I uploaded. I hope everyone had a chance to read that riveting 20 pages. The other report in there for your consideration is the council asked for an update on the major developments going on in the city. That is in box. I can answer any questions you may have, but I don't really want to take a ton of time to go over them all because there's a lot of moving pieces with each of those. So if there's any specific questions about any developments, I can answer those.
So Marcus went through and did what I did for the agenda. I did it as I have a master file in there for drop downs when I select economic, then there's short-term and long-term goals. And Marcus put them all on a short 21, 22 pages, all of our general plan goals. So please review that.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
like it. It was good.
that's
Yeah.
really good information. So, and then all the developments there, it's hard to keep track of everything that's happening. Chief,
I guess I should.
not
drop me.
last but not least, Chief, sorry.
That is okay. I know you have a full agenda tonight and I have put some numbers together from our stat from 2025. I have a full report that I'll be giving to the police commission in February on the 5th there. But briefly, I wanted to kind of share with the city and council the top 10 calls for service for Hyde Park as we broke those down. The number one being animal problems. When I took over as chief in 2022, there were 931 animal problems for that year. 248 of those were in Hyde Park. This year, we had 234 Hyde Park. In 2022, actually 2023, we started to reduce those calls for service with things that citizens could still find access to through private businesses. We were getting a lot of calls for like taking care of the marmots and things like that we just couldn't do anymore. And so we started to reduce some of those calls. This year for animal problems total, we had 766 between North Logan and Hyde Park. Our second highest.
Chief, could you
Yep.
define an animal problem for me? Is it dogs barking all night long? Is it
Almost that.
deer that are,
It could be
that,
deer
could be
herd,
raccoon in your window well. could be-
animal.
just one,
Yeah.
what's any idea what the majority of these animal problems are?
I would have to break that down. It's the way that our RMS system is set up right now. They don't have that broken down into that much detail on there. We'd have to go into the reports, but it does involve anytime a citizen calls and is asking for help with an animal, whether it be in the window well or a dog bite or a dog barking or a dog that's loose or vice versa, anything that deals with the animal.
Because I know that the planning commission spent quite a bit of time last week talking about nuisance, not necessarily just nuisance animals, but I know that that's something that
One would
was
be
on their
under-
radar. And so just something that I thought was interesting when I saw this way up here versus, anyway, thank you.
Medicals were our next highest at 117 out of Hyde Park. Then you can see as you go down the line, VIN inspections. The medicals are a high priority on there. They're a priority one type call. Our animal problems, VIN inspections, the citizen assists are not generally a high priority. If an accident comes out or medical, those would take priority over the citizen assists. We had 98 of those. We had 78 accidents, 366 for the year total for the department, more than one a day, which is a huge amount of time when you're talking. Some of those accidents are taking 3-4 hours to do, especially the big ones on that to investigate those. Intrusion alarms, we had 61 of those for the year. Tie that to the burglaries that we had throughout the last year and a half or 2 years here. We are seeing an uptick in those on that. Traffic offenses, school assists, suspicious incidents and ATLs all were the lowest there on those. And none of those were generally the high priority type calls on that. So that's kind of where we sit for the top 10 of that.
Chief, what are citizen assist?
Sit and assists range from any variety of things. Sometimes, well, for instance, we had one yesterday where a citizen called because their boy wouldn't get up to go to school. And they wanted help from the police to make their kid go to school. And then sometimes they're fielding questions like, how do I get a protective order? Or how do I get a bin inspection? Or how do I do this? So sometimes it's that. Sometimes they come in and just want to talk about questions that they have, a legal problem that they have. So they range from a very wide range of things, but generally it involves contacting the citizen, driving to their house, and so forth. So there's some time that's involved with that.
So if kids don't go to school, the parents can call the police then, huh?
Yeah.
I got 4 grandkids sitting here. I just want them to know. But
I maybe shouldn't say this, but my number one answer for that when I was called and asked, my kid won't get out of bed, what do I do? I said, you take a pitcher of cold water and you pour it on them, they'll get out of bed.
well, there's a solution in search of a problem.
There's an. In our police commission meeting, I'll be going over more detail,
Right.
those calls and the type of calls that we had. This start of this year has been a very crazy start. So for instance, last year, North Park fielded 5 aggravated assault calls for the entire year. In the first 2 weeks of January this year, we fielded 4, one of those being last night here in Hyde Park. They had 2 drunk people who were fighting, and one ended up in jail on second-degree felony assault charge, and the other ended up down the hospital with broken orbital socket on that. So our domestics are up. Our really high priority calls are up from what they have been. I was telling Marcus we're averaging about 38% to 42% priority versus non-priority on that, where it requires an immediate response from police on that. Marcus, if you could flip to that next page. So, do you have the other one?
No, I just got.
Okay. Well, that's okay. This is from the first week. This is the 28th to the 3rd of January there. I wanted to talk real briefly about that bottom left graphic, the call for service by year. In 2023, Mayor Cox and Mayor Peterson asked me as chief to really go through and kind of make sure that what was being reported was accurate, that it really was the calls, that we weren't just walking by a door and going, yep, that building's safe, and we're making a call for it. We're not overinflating the numbers. So in 2023, our numbers were 5,720, 5,720 spread between my 10 guys, patrolmen. In 24, that went up to 5,874. And in 2025, this year, we ended just below 6,000 there. So 5,906. Taking into account, that is also taking out those animal calls that we have reduced down, as well as some other calls, lockouts and things like that. We're seeing about a 1% increase every year, which corresponds actually to the growth that we're seeing as cities, as Hyde Park and North Logan. So we're still going up. We're still doing more with the 10 officers. Like I said, they're taking more every year on that. The other stat that I wanted to point out that is interesting, this year, we have what's called a minimum staffing. So for the day, we have to have at least this many officers. That's 3 for us. 80 days out of 2025, we had 3 officers on for the entire day. That covered morning shift, that covered afternoon shift, and grave shift through the night, because guys were sick or at training or various things, or we were down people on that. So almost a quarter of the year we were at minimums on that, which makes it really hard when you start to see this trend of our priority calls for service going up, where we need an immediate response. It requires then that we're relying on help from other agencies, from USU, from Smithfield, and quite the opposite right now. We're actually helping some of those other agencies with stuff too. So our guys are taking a lot of calls, they're doing a lot, but I wanted to just kind of point out that's where we're at. This last week, that number for us was 39% priority and 61 for non-priority type calls for the department. That's what I have, unless you have other questions.
I have one question. So, so we just recently had a snowstorm. did we have any accidents associated with that?
We did. Actually, we had 15 for this last week that we dealt with on that. The accidents, people seem to forget how slick it is. And they're usually going too fast for that first 10, 15 minutes. That's usually your slickest part of the storm. The oil starts to come up and people are going too fast, and that's when they happen. It's usually right at the start of it. And so we handled quite a few crashes this last week on that. So, okay.
Any other questions for the chief? Thank you. And I think we're meeting in February.
February 5th, I believe, is the thing. So I'll be presenting the annual report that we have for 25 that goes more in detail about that.
Okay. One thing that I forgot was that in box, you'll see an Word document that I created, and there's a document that Mark has created. I started compiling things that we ought to look at as goals for the city. And they're more higher level at the city council level, some of which, we've appropriated funds for another snowplow. I know where it's at, but I think that ought to be documented. Things like that. We have a corrective action with the state on cleaning the streets, and that little street sweeper that we have is like with two guys with a broom. And so we've allocated funds to appropriate a street sweeper. There's things that I think that the council needs to be kept informed on. And if you think of anything, please add it to the list of things at the council level. I didn't want to dig into the weeds. I know the planning commission does so much on the procedures, all of the codes and things like that. But I think we need to be able to figure out those higher level things in the direction of the city. So please review that.
Hey, can I ask just one question on the general plan goals? On page 5, you have that under long-term opportunities. It says that continue to maintain close relationships and cooperation with organizations that have transportation, implementation and planning responsibilities such as UDOT, and it says that more elected official involvement would lead to more influence. Are you talking us?
Yeah.
In the transportation for CVTD or whatever they're called now, we have a representative that represents Hyde Park and North Logan.
I'm talking more like UDOT, like state level,
Okay.
bigger picture stuff.
So if you could maybe communicate how we would.
We probably should save that one till the end, because that's gonna be a little bit of a longer conversation.
Yeah, UDOT's a challenge. There we go. That's the right word.
Yeah.
Challenge sometimes dealing with, and perhaps if we had more clamor from our city council to get them to do the right things on things.
I think we're willing to clamor.
Well, I know, yeah, there's a story about me throwing a 50 or 100 down on the table and betting them, wanting to bet them, but
Yeah.
they wouldn't take the bet.
But we should save that for the end of the meeting.
Yeah. So, okay, let's move on to item 8A. Consider resolution 2026-02, resolution amending utility bill practices and water shutoff policies. Colette and Melissa did a lot of work on this, a lot, and I've sat through the meetings with them as they presented. And Colette serves also in her community where she lives, so Marcus is going to take this one.
Yeah, in case you didn't know, Colette is actually on her own city council in the place where she lives. So she had her own city council meeting to be at tonight. And so I will be covering this. I hope everyone on the city council had a chance to read this, and I hope everybody saw my comment on the side. It kind of explains why this is a priority for us as city staff and how this is one step in a larger process that Colette has been working on for a long time with some help from Melissa. The best way that I can describe Hyde Park City's policies is they're policies that are made for a small town. And what we found is as we've kept growing, our policies have needed to change to look more like what a city's policy should be. And so I challenged Colette and Melissa to go through all of our utility billing processes, procedures, policies, and do research, look at what other cities are doing, look at best practices from across the state, look at state code, and find ways that we could be a more efficiently run city with our utility billing, but also perhaps a more fair city with how we operate. And so there's three major changes to our utility billing procedures we're proposing in this resolution. The first one is right now, if somebody rents out their home, they send their renter into the city to get a utility account. Right now, it's not a big deal, but with all of the multifamily housing coming in, that becomes a real challenge. And what they found is as they were looking at the larger cities, not a lot of people have this kind of policy. And so what we're looking to do is change it so that we will just be dealing with property owners or landlords to create utility accounts, and they're responsible for paying the bill. Another thing that happens right now, even right now, is when we only have a few of those, very often we'll have renters who leave and have an outstanding balance for one reason or another. And when we contact landlords, and this isn't every landlord, but we do have a couple right now, they refuse to pay it. And they say the account was set up for the renter. It's not my problem. And so this would eliminate that. We would be dealing directly with the property owner to have the utility accounts in their name. They'd be responsible for paying the bill.
I guess where the challenge from the city perspective is we don't have a contractual relationship with the tenant.
Like usually tenants are responsible for their own utilities. So have we looked into state law?
Mm-hmm.
And it's,
Yeah,
we can force a landlord to be responsible for a tenant's utility?
as far as we know.
I think we need to check into that further.
Okay, we can check into that. Okay, section number 2 is Hyde Park City has offered an empty home utility rate for a long time. It's when people leave the city for extended periods of time, whether they be snowbirds or perhaps they go serve a service mission for the LDS church. That's a very frequent case that we see. And then there is a reduced rate during that time. The problem that creates is it's all self-reporting. And a lot of the times people get home and forget to report they've come home. And so they enjoy nice reduced utilities for quite a while. As Colette was doing her research, she found that almost no other city, in fact, I think it was no other city in the state offers this that she could find that was comparable to our size and our condition. And so we recommend to just eliminate it altogether. It's a headache. It's something that they have to babysit constantly. And so it's something that we would like to get rid of. And then section number 3 is about winter water shutoffs for non-payment. Right now, we don't shut people's water off in the winter time. This is another policy that as we looked around, no other city has this. Everybody who they've talked to said absolutely they are willing to shut off water in the winter time. Now there is an element of safety in there. That
Safety
should
and
be
liability,
considered.
frozen water lines and
Mm-hmm.
like
But
that.
we would like to eliminate the part where we don't do it at all and at least leave it open so that we could, because there are cases like this winter where it would have come in very handy for us to have this option and shut off some people's water to force some action on their accounts. And those are the big ones. Those 3 will have a huge effect on the rest of the policies and procedures we're looking to do. And most of those other ones are administrative. We don't anticipate most of the rest of the policies to have to come back to the city council, but we felt like these 3 were a big enough change that it's something the city council might hear about from the community. And so we wanted to review this with you and have it passed as a resolution and then included as part of that policy manual that we're working on.
In section 4, we've left open the date of effectiveness. When is a proposal? Is it fiscal year? Is it June 1, May 1?
I mean, we'd like this to take effect as soon as possible, but I believe with any changes to the billing procedures, there's a certain amount of time that we have to wait before actually starting it. Do you know what that is, Tanya?
Days.
So we think it's 30 days that we have before the resolution will actually take effect.
So this is a policy. It's not we don't have to do the public hearing because we're just changing the billing process and these things. But if anyone makes a motion, I would say that add in what you believe the effective date should be. And don't go, at least don't go shorter than 30, but I wouldn't go longer than fiscal year July 1. Do you have any
So
questions?
you're
on-
saying these are nothing we have any say on?
Pardon?
We have no say on these?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we have
Yeah.
say.
Oh,
You,
Yeah.
you
do.
can say, you can vote it down.
We don't need to hold a public hearing, is what he's saying,
okay.
to satisfy the state requirements, because it's
It-
not an ordinance, it's a policy.
It's to you to amend, approve, disapprove, continue.
I'm fine with everything except the property owner or landlord shall be billed for all utilities associated with the meter because the tenants are using the utilities. The tenant should be responsible for paying those utilities. You could have a tenant abuse utilities and just never pay it, and it would be on the landlord. I don't think that is a fair.
Well, that's where the landlord as a tenant, as the owner says, this is with all utilities. This is,
But that's also tricky to gauge, like usage. And I'm against that. I don't,
that's a
don't like
landlord's challenge, not the city's.
I don't think so. I think you're saying we're gonna build, like Stephanie's gonna rent my house and she's gonna abuse utilities and do whatever she wants and charge as much as she wants to utilities. And then I, as a landlord, if she won't pay it, I'm responsible for that bill.
But wouldn't the landlord take out a down?
Do they have a
Deposit
deposit?
that
Yeah.
they
that's-
could-
Yeah, but that could disappear really fast. In an abused utility situation. I'm in favor of all of it except that. I'm not in favor of that. And I'm worried that that's even really a fair. I mean, I know the city wants to get their money. I don't know that that's the right way to go about it.
Okay.
So I have questions. I have some attorneys I will call and ask about that. I don't know how fair that really is. I don't feel comfortable saying that I approve that.
But
How
the same
does this-
business, the
how does
city
this
doesn't have
affect-
any teeth to collect, whereas the.
Yeah, they
landlord
do.
would.
They can go shut off utilities at that house,
But if the tenant ups and leaves,
but anybody can up and leave and not pay their utility bill.
right, but
Anybody
the
can.
landlord would have a deposit that. he
The
would fall
landlord, we
back
can slap the lien on.
I just don't, I don't think that's fair. That's just my property rights view. They're not using the utility. The tenants are using the utility. They're in the house, but the tenants are using the utility. So that part makes me uncomfortable. I'm in favor of everything else.
Gives a lot of protection to the property owner who
Yeah. And
has a responsibility, but
They don't have a responsibility for the tenant's utilities,
they have responsibility for the property.
for the property, but not the tenant's utility bill.
I would tend to agree with Tiffany here. Having lived in military housing where the military paid for utilities, we had friends and neighbors who cranked the AC down to, 65 and in the summer and the heat up to 80 and, just really, really abused it. And I mean, I read this and I thought, great, but I try to learn from Tiffany and she,
Well, I don't know that I'm worth
But-
learning from, but that's just my personal
no,
opinion.
I,
In my profession,
yeah.
because I do this on a regular basis. I think 100% tenants are
That-
responsible for their own
yeah.
utilities.
That deposit that the landlord's going to get or the owner is also gonna cover to replace the carpet that the dogs were all over and, the broken doors or windows or,
Yeah, there
having been a
might not be any
landlord.
money for utilities by the time,
Yeah,
depending on how they use the property.
Is it possible for us as a city to collect a deposit on
Utilities.
utilities?
I don't think so. We talked through that option. We were doing this research, and the number one reason, we didn't even ask the attorney about that, but as staff, we said that's so problematic to have just their money hanging out and waiting for us to pay. That alone violates a couple state laws. Now, if we put it on their account, we'll just like keep a check hanging around. Yeah, no.
$100.
Yeah.
How big a problem is this? How many accounts a year? How many
Well,
dollars?
like I said, right now, we only have
A couple.
a couple scores
Yeah.
of rental properties in the city. What Colette's thinking about is the 1,000+ that are on the way.
Right.
And so right now,
As like multifamily where the HOA is responsible to pay the utilities, because that would be different in my mind.
each of those units has their own meter.
Then I think it should be tenant driven. I don't think it should be landlord driven.
Let
what-
me ask you one question. Let's say that I don't pay my utility bill for a year. Can you put a lien on my house for that?
Like today, under today's rules,
Yeah. I mean, what do you do if somebody owns their house and lives in it and they don't pay?
right now, we're just asking people nicely if they would please pay us. And we turn off their water.
Have access to utilities, like that is the punishment, right?
So,
Which-
so you could do that now. I just wondered if you have the right to put a lien on the property.
A
Or
lien on the property for utilities? I don't know if we could do that. I think our only recourse is to shut them off.
And can we just have a tighter, like more restrictive, like you don't pay in 60 days and by 90 days you're on the shut off list?
Oh, that's
And
that's going to be part of
So that's
what we're doing.
the max amount of loss that we could experience, whatever they used in that time period. But I still don't think it's the landlord's responsibility to pay their utility bill. Like I'm very against that idea.
Do other cities do that?
Yeah.
Which
It-
cities?
The
This one,
landlord's
this one
responsible?
is a mix like when we looked across the state. Mostly there were people who were doing the tenants responsible, but there were a handful that just bill it directly to the landlord.
I'm opposed to that. And I have some questions, some legal questions about it.
So where we stand is you've got a challenge with section 1. We can either approve with omitting section 1 or continue. Or approve the whole thing. So
How does this affect us down the road, though? I mean, it looks to be like the problem's gonna grow as we get more and more
Mhm.
apartments or whatever that cause more density. You know, the best way probably is to take away the service, but on the other hand, that's pretty cruel sometimes too, when if you've got families and it's winter time or.
Then there's usually a turn off and turn on fee
Fee.
too.
Yep, we have that.
Right. So
go ahead.
is if the owner of the property, is that built in where they can take care of that, or is that, do we expect them to pay it right now, that somebody who's renting, do they pay for their water, and they have to do that too, don't they?
Yeah, right
like
now,
we
that's
do
what we
for
do is we
regular
have every renter come in and sign a thing saying that they're gonna be paying the utilities. But what happens, well, relatively frequently, again, we only have a couple 20 or 30 rentals in the city right now. I would say at least once a year, we get somebody who just takes off and doesn't ever pay their bill. So if we have that happening with 20 or 30, escalate that to 1,000 and 20 and 30. And we're just, yeah, this is going to be a huge problem for us. So this is one potential fix.
I see it as a nightmare too, to keep track of people in and out and in and out.
It's already a nightmare with the 20 or 30 that we have. Like, it's how Colette spends a huge chunk of her time is just helping people set up new utility accounts for these rental properties.
So if we have to share in potential losses because a landlord selects somebody that doesn't pay their bills,
But
can we make it so that we can share in their profits too then?
that's a violation of property rights.
Well,
And we
yeah.
all enjoy our private property rights.
It's like,
And I don't think you can make someone else's usage, someone responsible for someone else's usage of a service, a good, a product. Like, I think the right answer is the shut off. You shut it off.
Could a landlord put something in a rental agreement that says the average cost of utilities over the past year have been X number of dollars, and I will cover that amount, and anything over that amount, I will add to your monthly rent?
Right, but in our opinion, that would be a civil decision between the landlord and their tenant.
And that's what I'm saying.
And
Just
so-
the landlord,
I think it's our position to force that contract to happen.
I'm gonna ask,
But anybody has right to utility service within our city.
well, I'd be ready to make a motion that we approve this minus section 1, that we'd approve section 2 and 3. And with 4 being a date of either it's 15 February or 1 March. And then do a little more homework, because if section 1 is not a huge issue, doesn't happen that often, let's do a little more homework over the next couple of weeks or month, and then come back and revisit this.
got a
Okay.
motion to
And
approve
so,
this
Okay, wait for
resolution
staff
twenty
discussion.
26-03 with the omission of section 1 that we're going to research more.
I just want to voice that I like it as it stands.
Okay. So we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Got a second from Kurt.
That, I think we need to put the stipulation of when.
Yeah,
and I'll-
he said 15 February, which I wouldn't go mid-March, mid-month. I'd start
that's a 1 March.
1 March.
I said 15 February, 1 March, so we'll go with 1 March if.
Okay. I got a question. Do you as tenant, or you as landlords put restrictions on requirements on tenants to pay their bills?
Well, I was thinking.
No.
Oh, sorry.
No, not Derek. I'm looking behind.
So, improving credit checks, this is where I see this coming into play. Is if we were to pursue a 9% or 4% tax credit. That tells the landlord the max amount of rent you're really trying to make a difference in low income housing when we're doing this, okay? But that tells you this is the max rent that you can charge for this unit with this income level. And once you start adding utilities to it, it throws
Yeah.
it
It's a
way off.
nightmare.
For example,
Yep.
at Gateway, I just negotiated a whole contract with Google Fiber, okay? But if like those apartments, if we decided and we're looking at the possibility of going with 4% tax credit, then we can't require that, because that's gonna bump, that all has to be brought into the rent and reduce the profitability, makes performance even that much harder to do. So that is a downside of putting it on the landlord, especially when you have a situation where someone's trying to accommodate low income housing.
Okay, that's fair. I understand. Okay, so we got a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
I have something to discuss. I have some questions about section 2. I mean, if we have somebody that's leaving and they're not using any water for a year, I mean, are we charging them for something that we're not providing?
Did they just have the base rate for the utility service? That's what they're getting. Is that what they would be billed?
Yeah, I mean, the theory with this is they would get the discount because they don't use anything. It would reflect in their bill anyway.
But the
Right.
meter's still getting older.
Yeah, the infrastructure is still aging. It's still sitting there. We still do some accounting for our own water fund based on getting that base rate. That's essentially your hookup fee. So whether they're using it or not, we still do some of our municipal accounting based on getting that revenue.
So can they turn their garbage cans in for that year and not have that?
Yeah, you can have temporary removal of your garbage cans.
Any more questions? So the motion is to remove section 1, do additional research on whether or not it's legal, and not only legal, but is it the right thing to do?
Because it applies to all types of properties.
Yeah, right.
That's my thinking. It's not just the multifamily housing, it's any property that would be rented.
Okay. So we have that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with nay? Motion carries unanimous. Close that out. The next item is to consider resolution. One second. I've already closed the document. Can you look at the resolution on the one that we just passed?
The one we just did.
Yes.
Yeah, one
See,
sec.
boys,
2026-02.
I think the top said 2023 and in our agenda, it's 20, or it says,
2026-03 is what.
yes. The numbering is off. 2026-03 in our agenda, it's 2026-02.
Okay.
Okay, the next item is to consider resolution 2026-01, a resolution accepting a petition for annexation of a parcel 04-015-3 It's Ty Meesum's property down in the industrial area. And what it really is doing is it's kind of cleaning up some boundary line changes. Can you?
Can't really read that. Let me just pull up the map real quick. Hold on.
Is it a parcel that's partly in the city and that little chunk is in the county? And so we
did
need
some
to,
property negotiations and squared it up, but it's
okay.
still in, half of it's in county. He
Right.
wants to bring it in.
Here we go. So the property in question is parcel 04-015-008. As you can see, the county line is in black right here. It's nice and square. The actual property line is very not square. And so what this is just a petition to adjust that property line to actual, or the county line to be matching the property line. And really what it results in is a net gain for the city of annexation into the city limits. So
yeah,
that's what's being proposed.
Actually, two little sections, one on the
There are
north side,
two
one on
little-
the west
Yeah.
side there.
Yep.
Little tiny one there,
Lot
big
or
one there.
something that makes that line.
You know,
Yeah, and remember, this is just that you're accepting the petition. You're
Yeah.
not accepting the annexation.
yeah.
Just
So
that
an
you're gonna look
annexation
at this.
has to go to a petition to the city. Once the city accepts the petition, then it goes to the county to allow the annexation, providing that the city accepted a petition. If you're going to annex it, you accept the petition. If you're not going to, don't accept the petition. And,
Kind of.
and then it comes back to the city for actual annexation after the county.
Right. And the next time it comes to us, we'll have a public hearing and then the
Yes.
city council decides, do we actually want to annex this or not?
But
So
you don't,
the petition, it's like, you remember when the inland port came and we had to sign something saying we're interested before we could actually start? That's kind of how an annexation works, is we have to present it to the council, and when you vote, you're saying, yeah, we'll think about this. But you don't actually make the decision until it's time. I mean, if there was absolutely no way that the city would ever want this to annex in, you would vote no right now.
yeah.
But if we're like, yeah, that's doable, we could think about that. Let's work it out. You vote yes now, and in 90 days, you have the public hearing, and then you can do the final vote.
We'll make a motion that we accept the petition for annexation of parcel 04-015-0008.
Got a motion from Stephanie to accept the annexation petition. Is there a second?
I'll second that. Or
Kirk's got the second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with nay? Motion carries unanimous. Next item is to consider Gateway Phase 2 final plat. There's no real changes. Go ahead, Marcus. We went through this.
Yeah, so really this is the same as it's been for a long time. This is part of the Gateway project, as was mentioned earlier. This is the development agreement the city entered into with Capita Group. That is the wrong site plan. Here we go. And so really this is a procedural step more than anything else. The city staff finds nothing wrong with this. It's just in the code. It says the city council is the approving body. So here you go.
But
looks good.
So there's no changes. It's more that we're the approving body. The recommendation from staff is that everything's good to go.
Mhm.
Okay. Any questions on this, council?
Nope.
Not look for a motion concerning Gateway Phase 2 final plat.
I'll move that we approve and accept Gateway Phase 2 final plat.
Got a motion from Dave to accept Gateway Phase 2 final plat. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Tiffany. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with nay? Motion carries unanimous. Next item is to consider policy for adding items to the city council agenda. This is actually one of the goals out of our general plan that we should be doing that when we have a process set up. So
council, this was presented at the meeting in December, and overall the city council thought it looked good. Just wanted to run it by the city attorney to make sure we weren't violating any laws before we officially adopt this. The only change that the city attorney recommended is because in our policy, it says all the agenda items need to be approved by the mayor. We talked about having the applicant go out and get signatures, but really what should happen instead is the applicant will fill out page 1, and then the mayor and one other council member, when they sign this, it will be to accept it onto an agenda. And so we'll have a record of when that was accepted and put onto a city council agenda. The attorney did not have any other comments on the form.
So do we need to get a standard template from you already filled out?
Well, and that was gonna be my question. So would this apply to developments that are currently in process and they're
No.
just coming back? I mean, this is.
This would apply for stuff like the gentleman who visited us last year and is concerned with his bus. It's not really like the things that have to come to the city council, the developments, the policies, the ordinances, those are all going to come through the same.
They have.
This
They're
is-
already in the code. There's already a process and coming here
Right.
part of that.
This is when somebody says, I really hate my neighbor and I want the city to do something about it. And we say, is that really for the city council to address? And they say, I want the city council to address it. And we say, okay, fill out this form. And then it will be reviewed by the mayor and one other council member, and they will decide if this is something the city council should be
Yeah,
addressing.
and it's more of a, at League of Cities, one city mentioned that they had a problem. They had a resident had a problem with bleating goats. They would just bleat. So this guy took 3 minutes it got on the agenda, took 3 minutes and got up there and bleated like a goat for 3 minutes. So,
And at the end, he said, that's what I have to listen to all day long. I want y'all to do something about
yeah,
it.
but
And-
as a council member,
Sounds effective.
if someone can find an empathetic council member and want to put that on there, then it goes on. But if you say, gosh, you know what, that's a code enforcement, that's an animal
Yeah.
control issue, that's something like that. That is not the city council that goes out and enforces codes. We have people that do that.
So I do have a typo in this draft. I just noticed it's this first bullet point. It says the mayor and one city council member or 2 city council members. That piece right there needs to be removed Because in our policy, it does say the mayor needs to approve every agenda item. So
Got
the attorney advised us to remove that option of having 2 council members sign. So that would be the only edit to this, is to remove that little line of text.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that change someone coming here and bringing something up under citizen input?
No, that's still open
Still open
to anybody who wants to come
I
and
think
take 3
that's a
minutes.
Great place for
Now,
some things to come to us.
right, the difference is the citizen input is great for somebody to come and say something like a little complaint, or I need a pothole fix. We say, great, we add it to our list of things to fix, we take care of it. What we want to avoid is somebody with a pothole complaint coming in and taking 15 minutes to rant at the city council because it's an agenda item when it could have been resolved with just, a message on the website saying, fix my pothole. And so that's what this does, is it's a filter for the city council and mayor to decide if this issue needs full city council public meeting attention, or if this is something that they can pass to me or the public works director and say, hey, please go fix this.
We want you to come fix my potholes. Well, you don't do that. They should be talking to Public Works.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Does the 7 days prior to the requested meeting date, does it have to be publicly posted if we accept it onto our agenda? Does that give us enough time to do that?
That's why we built that in, because Danya tries to get the agendas done really early, at least a week in advance. I know there's always little things that kind of come up and maybe we have to change it. But because we try to get our agendas published 7 days in advance, we want people, if they're serious about getting on an agenda, to turn these in well in advance. So there's enough time for them to be reviewed.
Would there be noticing requirements on that as well?
Yeah.
Typically, I don't foresee this being a public hearing item. If anything, this would be something that becomes a public hearing item.
That's what I'm wondering. If someone wants to show up because my neighbor's making this complaint or my neighbor has this issue and I see it differently, like,
Yeah, I think
does it need to be posted? You know what I'm saying? Do we have enough time to tell everybody, this is what we're talking about at our meeting?
Well, I mean,
So we are fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
right. The 7 days is more, that's our policy, is we want an agenda done a week before the meeting. And so that's why this is on here, is to just reiterate, if you don't have it in on time, we're not guaranteeing that it ends up on the agenda.
That doesn't mean they can't come use the open mic. So.
I just wanted to be sure that we weren't like hindering ourselves.
Yeah. So again, this is not to try to silence the public. This is try to filter and make sure that the city council's time is spent on the items that you can actually address and take care of. And if somebody has a complaint that can be addressed by city staff, we'll read this application and say, oh, we can fix that. And we don't have to spend the council's and the public's time here addressing something that can be done outside of the meeting.
I think it's a great idea. So I would make a motion that we approve it.
Got a motion from Tiffany to approve.
With
Seconded.
the change.
With the change of, yeah, removing that section of the 2 city council members.
Removing that section.
Yeah.
You concur with that?
Second, yep.
So we got a motion from Tiffany and a second from Stephanie to approve policy to add items to the city council agenda. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with nay? The next item is to consider public entity resolution to authorize, well, we'd move that one up there. Well, no, we still have to do this one, don't we, Danya?
Yep.
Public entity resolution to authorize Melissa Jacobson and Danya Wright access to the PTIF fund accounts. This is a yearly thing, I believe.
No, it's Susan and I are currently on that. And in order to take Susan off and put Melissa on, they need a new resolution.
Do they automatically,
It'll stay,
Susan?
yes, once they get this, they'll just replace it. And then this will stay until either Melissa and I leave and somebody else takes place, so.
Yeah.
Or until you guys remove us.
Okay.
So it's just needed for replacements.
Yes.
Yes.
For Melissa to fulfill her capacity in her job. And this also is a policy or a resolution that doesn't require a public hearing.
So you just like some thumbs up?
Like some, I mean, a motion
We
to
need to-
approve the resolution to authorize Melissa.
I'll move that we approve this resolution.
I'll second.
We got a motion from Kurt and a second from Gerald. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with nay? The next one is to consider ordinance 2026-01 RZ, an ordinance approving a zoning map amendment for property located at approximately 700 South Wolfpack Way. It's the city parcel along the stream behind the senior PUD. And I think we're
Yes.
wanting to rezone that to from residential transition to agriculture to commercial zone.
So council, there was a bit of homework that got put out there by the planning commission. They requested, I hope everybody got this. I think Danya sent it out in an email. The planning commission requested that the whole city council take the time to listen to their deliberations on the recording to hear their thoughts and comments about this, because they spent about an hour really picking this apart and going through the pros and the cons of this rezone. Most of the conversation, as you probably know, revolved around if this property was owned by somebody besides the city, would we allow this to happen? In the end, the vote was in favor. It was a positive recommendation. Mikkel, our city planner, summarized it pretty well. There's lots of commercial in the area. This mixed use also includes commercial. So there's already large commercial presence kind of being put into this area. One thing that we can bring up is this is something that was initiated by the city staff. City council put out a couple of RFPs over the past 2 years looking for somebody to come in and bring a commercial business and partner with the city to co-develop public recreation space on this property. And so as city staff, we thought it would be beneficial to some parties looking for this opportunity if we would rezone the property to commercial. That would be an attractor then for potential businesses or financing institutions to see that the zoning is already in place. Are there any questions?
So what was it zoned before or on the map?
So right now it's the agricultural zone, which would allow 1 acre or larger single family homes. And then there's that little piece that's zoned residential transition, which is your, this smaller lot, single family, and you could put townhomes, although I don't think you could fit either one of those.
And if you look at the size of that part of it, I don't even know why it was that to begin with, but that's a whole nother.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of rezoning it to. But I also noted that the planning commission's concern was to give up that piece of property, and I really appreciated their thoughtful consideration and their questions. The questions they were asking were the same ones that started developing in my mind. And I really think that the city ought to at least co-partner, or if we could lease the land.
Mm-hmm.
So when we went out for RFPs, it was more in line with what would somebody want to come in and do there? Would they want to lease, build a suit? Would they want to buy? But our stipulation was that we wanted a linear trail along the water feature to be able to have that linear parkish trail area.
And take advantage
Bench
of
with
the
benches.
natural water feature as well.
Yeah, so that was the city stipulation. And I appreciate the planning commission's thought into this. And as things progress and if we have offers or anything like that, I would think that I remember when the parcel was acquired, I would, if it were sold, I would like to see the monies dedicated towards parks, but
So one thing that we did bring up with the planning commission is the city council has had ample opportunity to make a quick dollar here for several years. Mostly as an accident. The city listed the property several years ago, when we were trying to do negotiations for Wolfpack Way right of way. We quickly realized that was a mistake as we got a flood of offers in for people wanting to buy it, looking for a place to build a home or a fourplex or something. And so if the city needed some cash, we could turn around and sell this immediately, and somebody could build a nice home on that agricultural zoning, and we'd make a pretty penny. I don't think that's ever been the city council's intention with this property, as we can see with the RFPs put out and the desire to have sales tax revenue to be generated from this property. So that was one point brought up to the planning commission, is ultimately it's the decision of the city council if you're going to retain ownership of the property or not, right? That's one of the city council's express powers, I guess we could call it, is the negotiation, buying and selling of city property. And so really all the power falls back to this group if we're going to retain ownership of the property or not. And I hope you don't make a liar out of me. I did tell the planning commission that, as far as I know, the city council wants to keep this property for a long time and make sure that whatever's developed here is something that's a benefit to the community for tax generation, but also for public recreation.
And putting in 20 townhomes there, we got plenty of townhomes coming in. So it's like, what can they bring to the community? So that's.
So why are we doing this now and we didn't do it a year ago or 2 years ago, or when we?
Just cleaning.
I would
Yeah.
say the biggest reason is now we have a city planner who understands these things and made a great recommendation, and we are following through with it. I'd say that's the biggest change that happened.
And if it's commercial that we want, then we have commercial property that comes at a different advantage to potential person that may want to lease or purchase or anything like that, where it's already zoned for something
Mhm.
versus what we have it zoned for now. They have to come to this.
Just for the record, I'd like the city to maintain or retain the spring that is there, the water.
Yeah, that's a huge goal, I think, of the city. Like, we've talked about that for so long. I think that's.
And in, if this were rezoned, I just don't want to get too anxious or accept the first offer that comes in that says, yeah, we'll put a trail along there. I think maybe the city could do better if we are more deliberate and patient as we get the units built and people moving in on the north side, Center Street. A year from now, we get middle school kids and moms and dads driving through there that may want to stop to whatever commercial business would be in there. That, I just don't want to get ahead of ourselves, kind of like I feel like we did with Bringhurst. When we approve something, there's no infrastructure, there's no roads, and, out in kind of this desert. And I would not want to have the first thing come along just because we've been wanting something and we finally got something. So yeah, go in there. I think if we were patient, I just don't think we need to be in a hurry to take the first thing that comes along.
So 2 years ago, we had offers for business to come in there, and we did exactly what you were saying.
Okay.
And maybe it's a good business, but is that what was right for there? So.
And I remember sitting out here a number of years ago at a open house where we all got to choose what we liked and what it looked like, and pavilions and city gathering places. And now we've kind of gone from that to whatever's going to go in there in a walking path.
Well,
I would hope that it's more than a walking path, that whatever we end up with down the road.
keep in mind, when you were out there, we didn't have the end of Heritage Homes Park there by the new middle school. That park wasn't listed on there. Neither what is visionary, what they're proposing, a couple acres worth of park. So
when I see it, I'll maybe.
I agree with you there, but I understand, appreciate what you're saying, but making sure we have something there.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Mayor, that with those other things in the works that we didn't know about years ago, that would help
Well-
ease maybe the pressure there for a park or something.
And this is the greatest part about all this is the city owns the property. Typically, when development comes in, we're negotiating with them, trying to figure out how we can conform with code, number one, but also maybe work with the developer to get something that we would like that doesn't necessarily conform, they don't have to do according to code, but can we offer a carrot to get them to do that? In this case, the city owns the property. I mean, the decision to have ginormous park space with pavilion is yours. And if you want to dedicate it all to a business and have a 3-foot walking game trail, sure. If you want to have something really grandiose and leave a tiny space for a business, that you own the property. That's the council's decision and negotiations with whoever comes along, and just I think what you're saying is doable. It's just
Melinda, were you
Really
at the planning
depends.
commission? I can't remember. I don't think you were back yet. Um, from what I watched on the planning commission and speaking with Marcus as well, it's really capturing the concern, the thought, don't sell the farm to the, first person you date, and let's figure out what it is you want and make long-term strategic decisions so that it benefits the community.
And to their credit, I mean, there were lots of good questions, lots of good discussion. There were some concerns, this and that. And I mean, this comes back to the staff and us, I guess, is that they expressed trust in the city council and the staff to do the right thing.
Okay, so we have this ordinance to rezone the parcel, the Hyde Park City parcel before you. Is there a motion? Approve, disapprove, continue?
I would say, oh, go ahead.
I'll make the motion.
To approve.
I think we need to do it. We are the owner. We won't let it happen because there's enough of us who's watched this happen. And I think we're in compliance with our city planner. I think we need to pass it, and I make the motion, we approve it.
Got a motion from Kirk to approve the rezone?
I'd say I second it, and we can date any potential developers and buyers, but we don't have to marry any of them. So we can be choosy about what we do there, but I'm fine with rezoning it to commercial.
Yeah. Got a second from Tiffany. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with nay? Motion carries unanimous. General plan staff report, Marcus. Covered some of that.
Yeah. General plan staff report. Really, this was it's the opportunity for the city council to dig into it. And where do you want to start? It's 19 pages long, according to this. I went through every long-term, short-term goal plus the appendix D, which was just a list of recommendations. It wasn't necessarily goals, but just things that the consultant who helped us write the plan said would benefit the city. And so,
Second, honestly, Chief, if there's not an energetic issue that's facing the council, after you're done, you can go be with your fam. You don't need to sit through all this. So, yeah, as compelling as it is.
Just tell us you're going deer hunting.
Yeah, Mark Ashcroft's yard.
Yes.
But Thane,
No.
you get to stay the whole time. You
You want us.
so yeah, I went through everything. I have my disclaimer at the top if you've read this that says maybe some progress has been made, but it hasn't been reported to me, so it didn't make it in here. So if I missed anything, great, you can correct me. But I wanted to leave this open for the city council. We can talk about specific pieces of it. We can let this bleed into the next agenda item, talk about workshop, specific sections.
I think that's where you go with it.
Where do you want to start? This is 20 pages of goodness. Maybe we start with
Yes.
Stephanie. So which page was that on? Remind me. Page 5. Which
Bottom long-term opportunities point to.
Oh, yes. So continue to maintain close relationships and cooperations with organizations that have transportation, implementation, and planning responsibilities, such as UDOT and the county. Now, I'm not speaking ill of anybody, any of our neighbors, but I have noticed that in most of our meetings with the county and UDOT, when other larger cities have to be there, they bring a whole entourage. They bring like mayor, council members, whole bunch of city staff. And some of those neighbors tend to get what they want. And so that's my comment here is I think if we really wanted to push and to get more leverage with these organizations like UDOT, I mean, we're out there arguing about lights on the highway. We're trying to get them to give us grant money for different projects. We don't make a ton of headway. I feel like if there was more involvement from the city council, like some of our neighbors, maybe we'd have a better shot. Now we also are kind of one of the smaller cities up here. So would it help directly? I don't know, but I'm just stating what I observe from our neighbors.
So question for you in relation to that, is this just at specific meetings where we are asking for things or do we need to show up at other meetings where where UDOT attends and get to know them, and are there opportunities for that?
I think there's that. I think there's all the above.
Yeah, so tell us where you want us to.
Well, and honestly, it's not just UDOT. I mean, I think this
Right.
can go over into our representatives and the legislators who are involved and representing us at the
Showed up
Capitol.
at, and we had to hobnob with all the local Republican.
But
Party.
what
Those places.
Chris
we need to-
Wilson shared with you, what I've been working with them
Yeah.
on.
But I mean, and if they know our faces, those conversations are totally different. That's why I'm saying,
Yeah.
could we be showing up at these places? Cause
So-
I'm happy to do it.
So when and where, how often?
Exactly.
How long are these meetings, so forth?
Yeah, I mean, we can keep you in, we can let you know when they're happening, but also sometimes it helps just when there's community events, ribbon cuttings and
Yeah, show up and
whatnot.
say-
Just show up and say, I'm city council member from Hyde Park, get to know people.
One of the ribbon cuttings that will be forthcoming is a groundbreaking for the medical, I never remember their name, down in Wolfpack.
The assisted living facility.
The living facility, they're gonna do a big groundbreaking, inviting state reps, and I'd encourage you to attend. So, and that just gets some face time, so they do know you now. You know, that last time, Chris, I wasn't gonna offer up. Chris told you something that I hadn't told you. And I'm glad he offered it up, not me. But yeah, he's working for some state funds. I know as I work with Mayor Peterson from North Logan, she's attended some UDOT meetings that were open to the public with Logan. And they quickly ended the meeting because Logan wanted some stuff and
They kind of wanted a private meeting.
Mm-hmm. So
so
you'll notice the way I worded it. It's more elected official involvement would lead to more influence. I'm not saying that we got to go drop everything and try to schmooze some people, but if the city council would like more influence on these things happening on a regional level, then really the solution is to get more face time with the people making those decisions. I go to the meetings that I can. Usually they don't give me the time of day because I'm just a staff person. The mayor goes to all these things and he makes quite the splash usually. It's great. It's quite the reputation.
but
It's great, but no, so that's why it's worded that way. If the council's fine with the status quo, great. But really, I
that's
think the way
coming up,
that,
Marcus, is the fire line.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's huge.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Huge
But-
for about a third of the residents of Hyde Park, maybe close to a half.
Yeah.
That's big.
So when and where do we show up for that?
We'll get that.
Well, and
Okay, so, yeah,
then maybe the Chamber of Commerce meetings that Sean mentioned the other day that are at Bridgerland at 7:30 in the morning on Tuesdays,
Yeah.
starting the 20th. Like that would be a good place to be showing up,
and I plan on going to that.
to FaceTime with people that have influence. I
Easily enough.
think
Been up front.
all of us could make an effort to maybe pop in on.
And I
Yeah.
think if we all went down and bought a full truck.
I sold my Ford.
Well, and I'm always shocked when
We don't want to just.
I try to accomplish something, I email a representative with a concern, I get nothing back. Every time the mayor sends a message to them, they respond. And so it may not seem like it, but being an elected official does have more weight to it than a city staff person.
And even a little bit of FaceTime goes a long ways.
Yeah,
So it's an invitation more than anything else. If you'd like to be more involved, we'll definitely circulate invites to things. We'll let you know when meet and greets are happening or,
There's
public meetings. Um,
Should.
well, there's a great resource on the Utah League of Cities and Towns website. It's what do they call it? The Places and Faces, where they have the representatives for. It's sorted by city, so you click on our city and it tells you who the people are. It gives you a phone number and email address you can reach them by.
yeah, if you want email addresses, I've been emailing all of the representatives, not just mine. All of them in the valley. Down to Casey Snyder at the south end.
Well, if you want to know who to point the finger at for that fire
Well, yeah,
line.
he wrote that bill.
They said they're rewriting it, that it's in the process, so I'm curious what it's going to look
Well,
like.
we're all holding our breath. This legislative session has started. There's already a couple hundred bills. Well, now it's more like 400 or 500. But
So let's segue
wait
this
for it.
into the workshop.
Can I just ask real quick, if more than two of us show up randomly at these kind of events, that we're okay?
Yep.
if it's one of these meet and greets or ribbon cuttings,
Council events.
then and you all happen to show up.
Yeah, that's
Like Chamber of Commerce.
Now, if it's one of these things like the mayor and I attended a series of events with consultants in other cities to look at a Main Street study. Yeah, we would have to have only two of you attend those
Yeah.
because then it's
Okay.
an invite
I
specific to the
attended it.
city.
I wasn't running the meeting. So,
Yeah. But yeah, if
But I
the
was
whole
there
city
by
council
invite.
shows up for like the ribbon, like when North Logan did the ribbon cutting for their city office, if everybody showed up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we wouldn't need to suddenly send three of you home because we were making a quorum.
yeah. Just wondering how chance it is when you say, hey, y'all, I'll go to this, gathering.
if you say y'all can.
We can, okay.
If we say, I need two. That's when we're talking.
Yep.
Back 40 or something.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other specific questions about any of these things? Any of these goals or the recommendations?
I just appreciate it. I mean, I just see a lot of, work we still need to do, and we probably haven't done what we could have been doing or we could do. And so I think, Mary, you were about ready to lead into workshops before I asked the question. And,
Mhm.
rather than spend all night talking about it, I don't care what the format is, whether it's one afternoon for a couple hours or it's, 6 to 7 o'clock or 6 to 6:45 every night for the next, couple months before this meeting that we get through. I don't care, but I think we need to dedicate time to this, especially prior to budget. I'd love to go into the budget with here's our priorities based on our general plan and make sure we're meeting our budget. So I'm open to any of it.
So once a month prior to city council meeting and let's have a workshop and start trying to eat this elephant. Discuss. Doesn't have to go in sequential order. Let's go in order of pressing needs.
So we talked about doing that last year. That's the plan.
Yeah.
If we start the workshop at 6, give us an hour to start, see if that's enough time, and maybe we adjust for next month if it's not, or if it's too much time.
Works.
Okay, any preferred section to start with, or should we just start from the top and move down?
Just choose your favorite.
Land use. Land use is always pressing us.
Okay, so we'll start
Yeah.
with section 2.
Yeah.
And I may sprinkle in some trainings as well.
Yeah, because I know that was really what you were hoping to do in these blocks before our meeting.
Right. Well,
And I'd
it's,
be okay to do this at another time for spend an afternoon and not chunk it up, you know, and save your training, save that time for training rather than getting into here. Cause I'm afraid that you start, by the time we want a little potty break before 7 o'clock and we're just barely get into it and then we're
Yeah.
start.
I just think for efficiency and for council members' time, I would like to see an hour before our meeting. I know that's not big chunks of time, but let's break it into small things and let's have,
There's a couple of people
Mhm.
in this council that have one of those things. What are they called? Job.
Jobs.
Yeah, Joe.
That's it. That's what they're.
Yeah, and I get that. I'm okay
just,
with that, yeah.
just to be able to give it
Yep.
like my fair share of attention.
Yeah.
I'd rather
well,
see it.
in some of these sections, the goals are really small, you know,
Mhm.
like we were just in section 6 down there and the goals were like half a page. Section 2 is a fun one to start with because that's like 3 pages of goals. So we can even break it up further.
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
And I think this is really a great use of our time where we're going to have to be looking at the master plan again here in a couple years. It will help us be, are we on track? Is this really a goal that's important to our community?
So
You know,
the homework is going to be before every work session. I invite you to go in and actually read the chapter associated with the goals we'll be discussing. Because the other thing we have to start doing is next year, we have to start deciding if we're going to do another general plan update because it will have been 5 years and they only are good for 5 to 7.
I thought it's 7 to 10.
It's 5 to 7. I mean, it's as long as the municipality wants, but the recommendation in the land use act is 5 to
Well,
7.
the last one lasted 25 years.
The last one was 25. I mean, come
Well,
on.
the mayor did it in 2012. There was the one before that was, yes, it was 25 years. And then
Well, I think we need to look at the one we have right now before we start talking about doing another one.
As,
You know, just throwing that out as an option.
even though I said land use, I just thought about economic with a couple of
Yeah.
big things coming,
Mhm.
potentially coming.
Well, and I would say in each of these sections, there's at least one goal that's really important and a lot of goals that are maybe not as pressing.
or maybe support the overarching goal.
Mhm.
Would you say that this review would give us that update we're looking for? Of the
Yeah, I
general
mean,
plan?
if you haven't read this, absolutely read it because I'll be honest, I already told Dave this because he came and visited with me on Tuesday. But I was very surprised as I was typing this how much we actually have accomplished because we joke, kind of not, that this plan, we don't look at it a ton and maybe we're not paying a lot of attention to it. But I was very pleasantly surprised as I was going through this, how much we've actually accomplished related to these goals. It was nice to see. But also there was a lot of this no significant progress. I will admit that I copied that phrase and I hit a lot of Control V's filling this out. So there's a lot of work still left to be done. But the question now for the council as we're approaching this anniversary of the general plan is this still accurate? Is this still a good representation of where the community is today, where we are going? Or is it time for us to start thinking about changing the plan? Because that's really the reason you change a general plan is you look at it and say, does this still represent us? If the answer is yes, it's still good. If the answer is no, then we need to change it.
I would say on tackling first, Planning Commission recommended to the city council and council approved it, some changes to some of the land uses. And since that time, it kind of slowed things up a little bit on proposed developments. So I'm going to change that and say economic because of some potential
Yeah,
employers.
And when you look at it, that's probably the one that has no significant progress than anything else.
Yeah. So we
Yeah.
got them in front of us. So I'm,
Well, I was just gonna point out, I think some of these things, even though they say no significant progress, maybe that the opportunity wasn't available to us yet to make the progress, right?
sure.
So now we're crossing some of those bridges where these things are happening, we do need to look at it, make sure we're in sync with our plan. So when we make these decisions, we're supporting that master plan. Or that we know we need to make changes. to the master plan.
And the no significant progress doesn't mean we haven't done anything. It just means that there was nothing that I could really pinpoint as a specific action step towards that. A lot of these things we've talked about, we've maybe done some preliminary investigation, but it never went anywhere.
We've been talking with both
So-
these companies, but not in a city council meeting. They haven't submitted anything for approval, but
But it's time to look up
Okay.
because it's on the table.
yeah,
So 6 o'clock in 2 weeks.
that sounds good.
So everybody go read chapter
Second-
5.
Second council meeting of the month. Dave, you gave each of us something.
Yeah, last month I mentioned that Marcus and I had attended a grant meeting, went through all the grants, so forth and so on. We've talked earlier this week, more about that. Been in contact with a few folks, trying to kind of identify priorities for our grants as much as I'd love to, all of them everywhere. Our best bet would be to really kind of narrow the scope and focus in one particular area. And so what I've presented, what you have in front of you is just copy paste from the survey we did last year. And on that front page, Legacy Park has the greatest amount of weekly and monthly use. It also, when you go to the next page, so anyway, my thought is that, yeah, there's things we could do in all the parks, but that maybe Legacy Park ought to be our first one to focus on. I even started thinking that, and the more buy-in we can get, that the whole city council say yes, when we submit a grant. And I'm even thinking, maybe we could get support from North Logan. I haven't talked to Marcus about that. I just thought about that today, thinking, as the mayor refers to, this is, the best park that they have that they don't pay for, or however you state it. That, it's pretty close to the boundary and would fulfill probably some needs for North Logan, especially if they aren't applying for the same grants we are. So anyway, with that in mind, to focus on Legacy Park, and then on page 2, that's again an overview, a summary of the various comments. And except for maintenance issues, safety, maintenance issues, cleanliness, so forth and so on, the highest percentage comments were need for shade for Legacy Park. So I'm thinking that's an easy one to start with for a grant, whether it's the sun's shade sails over what we already have, more trees, mini pavilions where there's covered picnic areas scattered around, so forth and so on, and then just kind of go down the list where they want more amenities and, some playground. I've heard a lot of comments that, lots of families there for soccer games, soccer practices. We got a really nice kind of, adolescent playground, but we don't have a toddler playground. And so anyway, I'm seeking your thumbs up to continue working with the staff and submitting, and I don't remember the name of this particular one for playgrounds, but anyway, for Marcus and I to work on a grant and then come back with, when we get that put together.
I want to applaud you, say that's great. How much money will the city get?
Well, depends on what we ask for. And then also, of course,
So
with
it's
this,
open-ended?
no, it's not open-ended. I think this one that is up to 200,000, but there's also matching requirements too.
Okay.
So it's going to cost the city some money, but Danya, how much have we spent so far this year on our parks and trails and things? Not much. So, and how much do we have to spend?
I would like.
We
to-
have sufficient.
Well,
But
the
throw out there though, that we got the last of our bonus density, and if we are looking for land for parks, I think a big chunk of that should be reserved for the purchase of land.
Yes.
right,
absolutely.
we have
Yes,
we have
we have to.
a lot of money
Yeah.
in our reserve to buy property for a park.
Yeah.
I will say in our other parks budget, we don't have nearly as much, but we still have a good chunk of change.
Yeah, so we have the money. For, I think this particular one it is, but you can ask for less,
Right.
And you can have in-kind donations and labor and things can add up to a certain amount of that 50% matching. So, would just continue to pursue that as much as possible. And then, and part of this grant would be including benches and things that we don't need a master plan, that we've applied the grant to do the master plan the coming year. I mean, we don't need that to tell us we need more benches at Legacy Park. I mean,
We do
that's
need
just-
benches.
What's
People
that?
have been using that park all winter. They love the concrete slide as a hit. There is nowhere to sit. There is nowhere to sit. Parents are sitting on the sidewalk, watching their kids play, like around the edge of the playground. There are no benches in that park. They're needed.
Hopefully there'll be at least one more as soon as it can go in, and there'll be more as I encourage people to donate. And I don't know if you guys saw that we have a new, in the newsletter, this last month, allow people just to donate and kind of earmark towards certain amenities in certain parks. So hopefully we can get a little more help there. So anyway, thank you I will take all that as support to move forward and apply for some of these grants.
So one other piece of information, related to the grants. We'll get to this one in a sec. The grant we're applying for is specific to like playground updates or add-ons. There are lots and lots and lots of grants offered by the state for lots of different things, trails, buying new land for parks. But most of them, if you want big money, you have to have a master plan, like Dave said. And so when we visited earlier, we were looking at money to do like a big stretch of trail or something. But we felt like it was best to wait for the master plan. The reason we're going after the Legacy Park money is, or we potentially going for that, is you can submit something, like Dave said, without a master plan, but we still need some kind of plan. The state likes to see details. They like to see shovel-ready projects. And so, excuse me, whatever we decide, I would like to make sure the final list of things we're going to apply for gets the okay from the city council, probably a letter signed by the mayor. I think that's still a requirement to have a letter signed by the mayor saying, yes, we approve this. The city approves this application, and some sort of, actual plan. That'll give us the best chance of getting that grant. So it's going to take a little bit of work still. Luckily, that grant, I think it doesn't close until the end, or it opens in March, right?
We've still got a month or two on pretty much all. I can't remember that one now specifically, but we've got a little bit of time, and I'm willing to work it.
We talking
Yeah.
apps?
No, this would be through the state.
It's,
Yeah,
I don't
we,
remember the name is. It's community park something or
it's
other.
called their CPR grant,
Yeah.
community park something, but also they joke it's to like breathe new life into your parks.
And it can even include things like some parking lots and stuff, but it's specifically for parks.
Right, and it's specifically for small scale stuff like
Yeah.
buying a single shade structure and a handful of benches. That's exactly what it's meant for.
So my thought is, keep working it, get estimates, because I mean, the more specific we are with it, the greater the likelihood, and just keep maxing it out. And, maybe they say, well, you aren't gonna get the whole thing, but, because I'm sure it doesn't take long with a little playground and some this and that's, I mean, we're at 200K without even blinking your eyes. So.
This is an image of Lower Lions. And the replacement on the metal pavilion that was there.
So
People are sad that the old one's gone.
It's not gone. It's cheap.
if they want to see it, they could go down to the city shop. We've got it covering equipment.
City shop.
It is being put to great use down there.
Yeah,
Don't
just-
you worry.
Just get the city shop vicinity cleaned up before the public goes through there. I don't know, but there could maybe safety hazards walking through there.
Yeah.
Well, they have to stay outside the fence.
Oh, okay.
The other part of that, so this is moving along and Tiffany's working on the signage for the naming the pavilions, and we can do that in the spring. We repurposed that pavilion to the city shop, but when Dave and I were driving on Tuesday, we drove by the old Farley property, Visionaries.
Mhm.
There is a big metal roofed hay storage facility there. It comes up on cement pillars, but I think they're metal.
Yeah, I think
On Farley's property, on metal legs that come up.
that look like, okay.
we ought to talk to them about repurposing that instead of them bulldozing it.
You want it in the park down there?
No,
No,
the
more
the
covered
building
storage
down to the
for,
shop,
I don't know, dozers and
a
you
dozer
know,
that we don't.
road
need, that doesn't
graders and
run.
those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
A street sweeper, that thing's cost enough, it's going inside.
Yeah.
Parade floats.
But yeah, we ought to talk to Visionary about if we can go and have that moved, can we take it? Instead of tear it down, that's good covered storage down at the shop.
I mean, they're gonna have to
Mhm.
pay somebody to tear it down, right? We'll do it for free.
Yeah. But that's a thought. Council, do you have any final parting thoughts?
Just copy pasted.
I just have a question on, we approved a four-way stop on 700 East,
Mhm.
450. And so I went up there the other day to go see the new four-way stop and how it was working, and it was
It's not in. They
I have an
don't
update.
really dig down in the winter time because of the,
Yeah, but
So the
But that-
mayor had a suggestion at the meeting to put the signs in and put some black bags over them and then wait and then do a grand reveal. When we consulted the manual for uniform traffic control devices, that's really not the way you should do it. You should have those big orange diamond signs that say new traffic pattern ahead. And so because some of us decided to take some vacations over the winter, it got delayed. But our public works guys who were here did a lot of research, found out where we could get those signs. We decided it was cheaper to just buy some, especially since we're doing another four-way stop just down the road. And so all the signs are here. The four-way stop is ready to go. Now we're just waiting on getting those signs. As soon as we get them, we're going to put them up. We're going to leave them up without the new signs for 4 to 7 days, just depending on when we get them. Then we're going to install the new four-way stop, and then we're going to keep those signs up for probably another 2 to 3 weeks. Then we're going to pick up all those orange signs and move them down to 400 East and 450 North and do it all again. So
Okay.
we have everything ready to go. We've core cut out the sidewalk down at 450 North and 400 East. Everything's ready to install. We're just waiting for those orange signs so we can be compliant with highway
Okay.
regulations. So
One
we're
of
painting
the,
intersection.
goals that I had on the city goal list was we spent $70,000 on signage. Okay, what's been installed, where's it been installed, and what is left to be installed? And if you're changing the traffic pattern, that has to come to the city council.
It's actually got to go through an engineering study.
So that's,
City council shouldn't be changing the traffic pattern without engineering studies.
Well-
But you're referring to like replacing signs and some of those.
well, replacing signs. I mean, I'm just wanting to get some more accountability. Same thing with water
Mhm.
meters.
Well, I'll say the list that we got from Dave and the safety committee last year, everything's done except those four-way stops.
That's not quite true. We don't have all-way signs up in some areas. We still have a stop sign on a telephone pole. There's.
Well,
And of course, the
let
city
me
council
rephrase that.
was passed last year, 2 years ago, however long, to have the new cool black powder
Yeah.
coated post. So now, every one of those $120 to $5 stop or yield signs that we replace actually costs $600 or $700 or $800 because we have to put a new pole in with it. So just, there's repercussions of that decision, and so now instead of replacing a half a dozen signs, we replace one sign and a pole. So,
Yeah, so let me rephrase my statement. Of the list that you gave us, and then we narrowed it down to what we could afford.
okay.
Of
got
the
it.
list of the ones that we could
Okay.
afford, they're all done except the four-way
And that
stop.
that was last budget year, right?
Well,
Yeah,
yes,
we'll talk more.
Yeah.
We'll see.
we
when-
do need to get some always up though.
Yeah,
That's
anyway,
on the list.
that's a minor kind of thing, but there's still a few faded yield signs.
But guess what I noticed? Have you ever been to a four-way stop in the county? They don't have always or four-ways on it. They're
Well-
just four-stop sign.
Well, hopefully they're not the standard.
I don't know.
Anything else?
Well,
you
I
wanna bring
certainly
up?
I've taken
we're
enough
better
time. Thank
than
you
the
very much,
county.
council and mayor and the public.
If not, I'd look for a motion to dismiss us.
I so move.
Got a motion from Gerald, second. Second from Kurt. All those in favor say aye.
I
Any opposed with nay? Unanimous.